Question: explain why a well-capitalized insurer may still fail due to changes in the external environment. Your answer must integrate pestle analysis, model risk, and the actuarial control cycle. 9 marks. Section 1. Interpretation and key points. Quick awareness check. Static versus dynamic capital is a snapshot of the past. The external environment is a movie of the future. Pestle drivers. These are non-modeled triggers, e.g., a new law or a social shift, that can make current capital buffers irrelevant. The lag effect, the actuarial control cycle, fails if monitoring is too slow to update the model assumptions. Model boundary. Models only work in normal times. External shocks push the firm outside the model's reliable domain. Section 2. Logic breakdown. 1. The limitation of capital. Start by challenging the premise that capital is a shield. Capital is only as strong as the assumptions used to calculate it. If the assumptions are wrong, the shield is made of paper. 2. External drivers, pestle. Use this framework to identify unmodeled shocks. For example, a technological shift, AI, or a legal change, new liability laws, can create massive claims that historical data never predicted. 3. The control cycle failure. Link this to the feedback loop. If the monitoring stage of the cycle only looks at internal data, it will miss external signals. By the time the loss shows up in the data, the firm is already failing. 4. Model risk, parameter uncertainty. Explain that models assume historical stationarity, the future will look like the past. External changes break this. This leads to model risk, where the capital requirement is mathematically correct but contextually useless. Section 3. High distinction model answer. A well-capitalized insurer may still face insolvency because capital adequacy is a static measure based on historical risk distributions, whereas the external environment is dynamic and non-stationary. While an insurer may meet its solvency capital requirement (SCR) today, the Pestle framework reveals numerous drivers, such as sudden legal shifts in liability or economic shocks like hyperinflation, that can increase liabilities far beyond the 1 in 200 levels predicted by current models. Capital protects against quantified volatility, but it cannot protect against a fundamental shift in the underlying risk landscape. This failure is often rooted in the actuarial control cycle's breakdown. The monitoring phase is frequently too inward-looking, focusing on actual versus expected internal claims rather than external emerging risks. If the feedback loop fails to capture a social shift, e.g., a change in public attitude toward litigation, or an environmental change, e.g., increased flood frequency, the problem specification remains outdated. Consequently, the firm continues to write business at prices and capital levels that are dangerously inadequate for the new reality, leading to a rapid depletion of even a strong capital base. Ultimately, the firm suffers from model risk, specifically model domain failure. Capital models are calibrated to a specific domain of historical stability. When an external shock, such as a technological disruption, occurs, the correlations between risks often spike, a phenomenon known as tail dependency. If the model assumes independence between market risk and insurance risk, but an external event causes both to fail simultaneously, the well-capitalized buffer will be exhausted instantly. Professional judgment requires the actuary to look beyond the model output and use scenario analysis to warn the board that capital is a cushion, not a guarantee, in a shifting pestle environment.